I had been hoping to speak to you today about saving Europe. The night is darkest before the dawn, they say. But I can see that is not going to happen. What are these medications these past 12 or so years? I still can't even look at the camera, let alone make an epoch-changing speech. As the UN Migration Act arrives, as the as the as the BB case reared its ugly head, as hate speech laws become more and more openly insane and humorlessly, bold-facedly brutal and misanthropic, and stating the obvious is decried everywhere as racism and bigotry, as the organised rape continues across the country, as the ideological and chemical brainwashing and stupefying of our young accelerates, and our own little boys and girls are forced to forget which of the two they are. Um, as infant genital mutilation, both in its already well-loved male and now new fashionable female varieties, becomes increasingly popular. As the bloodshed increases in London and other cities, attacks on we Jews especially become more prevalent, and as if to add insult to injury, as even our puny, pathetic excuses for philosophy departments are quietly erased. All the while, the public sits back and does nothing, with not a single major commentator or political party calling for any imminent radical action, except perhaps to instate the Sharia into domestic law. With the time never being so ripe for change, with our rulers only further cementing their stranglehold on power and having already virtually closed the deal, and yet still no sign of anything, any clear uprising, it's clear that we need a veritable second coming to save us now. So pack up your bags while you still can and fly, fly, fly far, far away. uh, to America, to Israel, to Russia, or to Poland. Perhaps perhaps there you will survive a few more decades. Guard your freedom vigilantly this time. Never stick out to authority; it will only get you in a worse mess. Do not allow them to drug up yourself or your children. I suppose one can't much stop them much of the time. Don't worry, if it's any consolation, the ones who did this to us, including yourselves, will not last long themselves either. They will be enslaved and destroyed by the very system they set in motion out of greed, cowardice, resentment, and rank stupidity. They will not remain above the fray for long. The same drudgery they have inflicted on others will be returned upon their own children, times 10. Be sure of that. Only the very few at the top of the new Egyptian pyramid, already mostly formed, stand a chance. Those who will have first access to the new technologies that will render the rest of us totally obsolete and therefore obliterated. With all the environmental crisis that the planet is undergoing, we shouldn't mourn the eradication of 99.9% of humanity too much. And those who remain may have a chance to build something worthwhile on the ruins. Let us demonstrate in our death throes, at last, the noble transcendence of the petty egoism which got us in this situation, by embracing what is to come and praying for a better outcome in that not so distant future for those few who remain, even though none of us will be among them. Besides, it's probably no better than we deserve. This is no worse than we ourselves treat the lesser animals, who also feel great pain. For the record, though, the so-called white race did not create slavery. They merely were the first and the only ones to abolish it. A bit of a difference there. Now we are so obliging, we reintroduce it. Backed by popular demand, 21st century technological slavery, total chemical, ideological, and electronic subjugation of the personality. There you go. Have your fill, folks. You voted for it. The most dignified expression of which we are still now capable is, "Thank you, Master. Let us humbly request the protection, the dignity, the security of having our own servitude recognized, at least, so they don't suspect that we are dupes as well, treating us with double the hatred and scorn of ordinary, respectable, legally recognized chattel, and all the added unpleasantness and artificiality in personal relations such hypocrisy and self-delusion creates. Let us still be grateful that we had this chance to exist at all." A small bubble of life in a vast echoing ocean of nothingness. Almost like how we used to feel about our own country. Remember those good old days? They don't seem so bad now, do they? They don't seem quite so intolerably racist and stiflingly homophobic now, do they? Let us make an effort to truly exist, being conscious of our existence as much as we can, while it lasts. The fact that it will not last just makes it that much more precious, beautifully fragile, and touching. Its finitude beckons us to care for and love one another with the infinite poignancy of mortal beings for one another. Furthermore, in our poverty and abject desperation for this world, we become close to God and to the next world. If Jesus was still here today and hadn't been butchered by those violent ideological and religious fanatics, some things never do change. I think perhaps that is what he would like us to dwell on, while we tuck merrily into those lesser animals I mentioned. Totally kosher, totally halal, totally industrialized, 1st century BC murderous mayhem, now with an edgy high-tech digital age twist. Mad miracles a dozen, blessings to all. Disclaimer: the author is a mere mad poet. He cares little for politics or petty religious tribal squabbles, seeking where at all possible only to subdue, or better yet avoid them in the first place, rather than further inflame them. But refusing to acknowledge they exist, so far from alleviating them, is tantamount, nay, it is actually the surest way, to promoting them. Just as any 2-year-old could tell you, the surest way to making him miserable is to pretend he doesn't exist. Neglect, let alone active repression, are far more effective ways to stoking rage and hidden seething, occasionally bursting out in huge fits of hate, rather than having the adult setting the tone for a more open and tolerant environment based upon the higher, more authentic respect of mutual and self-critique, in which differences are worked out more rationally, healthily, and enjoyably. A lesson from others, daycare centres, schools, and states everywhere. You see, if those lesser animals could communicate better with us and hatefully stand up and tell us how much suffering we're inflicting upon them, we'd probably have a less hateful attitude to them too, less overtly murderous. While when isolated out of speech may promote annoyance in others, a general culture of freedom of speech tends to dramatically reduce antisocial acts and feelings, and is the prerequisite of social, moral, and even scientific progress, right? Letting someone else speak costs you nothing. Well, to forcibly prohibit them from doing so amounts to saying that they have nothing worthwhile to add on the subject, since you already know everything on it, and you have nothing but contempt for them, which is extremely hateful, the extremity of hateful arrogance, in fact, and bigotry. Do you know what the word bigotry means? It means you're tolerant of others' opinions. And testament either to your own inability to control your own emotions, dupish presumption, and or desire to exploit others without anyone calling you on it.